The Dalai Lama believes that the purpose of life,
I usually describe happiness.
and if this graph shows where we can get to, and this graph is how most of us live our daily lives, what differentiates the two, and how can we get to a place akin to that of the first graph? When I talk about happiness in this video, I'm talking about cultivating two specific qualities: the balance of negative and positive emotions, so experiencing more positive feelings than negative, and often less talked about, life satisfaction. So how does most of the world get it so wrong and fluctuate so dramatically on the scale of happiness? So for a long time now, I've been obsessed with chasing happiness. Dealing with anxiety, I entered into a place of personal development where I sort of got absorbed into podcasts, audiobooks, achievement of goals to become something other than what I am right now in this moment. But what was really happening here is I would make progress toward a goal, and then when I would attain it, there would be a short little period of happiness before having it depreciate once more. I'd then achieve another goal, have another little short burst of happiness before back down it went once more until the next goal. I thought that if I could just push through enough barriers, eventually I would come to another place where the pastures are greener on the other side, where happiness will continue to pervade. And this ethos might not sound that crazy because it is, after all, the cultural norm to do this. One that's reinforced by movies, social media, books. I'm reminded of a scene in the movie The Pursuit of Happiness, a really popular movie which follows the struggle from rags to riches of a character, Chris Gardner, who eventually pushes through so much adversity that he comes out to the other side and gets a position in a competitive intern which secures financial security for his family, where the following scene then plays.
This part of my life is called happiness.
Subtly setting in that delusion of if we can just get to a new point in life, that will be happiness. But we also see this in spirituality as well. People have this grand idea that if they have some explosive kundalini energy experience that catapults them into an awakened state of mind, then they will be happy. And that's what they pursue when they meditate. You know, I've definitely never done this before. Now, I want to reiterate, there's actually nothing inherently wrong with pursuing goals or anything like that. But what I've come to learn through my experience is that if achievement of goals is what we're predicating our happiness on, it is simply delusional. And it's a very costly mindset that we need to break free from if we're concerned about truly becoming happy. So now that we understand the problem, what exactly can we even do about it? Well, the solution is actually one that we tend to not really want to hear. Like the businessman, the spiritual seeker, have been running this program of goal achievement for happiness for so long, really need to come to an entire new paradigm shift to appreciate a new way of looking at happiness. Because again, if we trust the Dalai Lama that happiness is the key to success, this is actually something we need to not take casually. We need to take it extremely seriously. This is super important to get right. But the good news is this is a skill that anyone can cultivate. And for the remainder of the video, I want to look at three often unlooked at aspects of cultivating happiness that you won't really find many other places. Simply given that it's not the societal norm to pursue mental happiness with intentionality and not taking it casually. 1. Develop a skillful relationship to thought. Recently, I was re-listening to a podcast by Joseph Goldstein on right thought, and he reminded me of something so critically important that it's worth contemplating for the rest of our lives. And he quoted the Buddha, who said, "Whatever you frequently think about and ponder upon will become the inclination of the mind." That one statement is so life-transforming if we actually allow it to properly sink in. So the way that I'm talking about thought here is to intentionally look to cultivate thoughts of compassion, kindness, gratitude, and goodwill toward others. As an example, when I've been driving in my car lately, I will very specifically set the intention to think thoughts of gratitude, how I'm grateful for my beautiful girlfriend, my amazing family, or how I'm grateful for you guys for engaging with my videos and this content. Because if we think whatever we think about and ponder upon becomes the inclination of the mind, we have to take this really seriously. We have to not be casual and very intentional about it and repeat it consistently over time. 2. Become curious about challenging aspects of your experience. So maybe you've noticed that cynical thoughts and negative emotions are inevitable in our lives. Have you noticed this? Oh shit. Thoughts just come and go in a stream of consciousness in our minds, dependent on mood or what have you. So to think that we'll attain to some blissed out nirvana state permanently for the rest of our lives is simply unrealistic. Therefore, the only thing that we can realistically do is to change our relationship to the way that we experience negative thoughts thoughts and negative emotions, to bring it to one of genuine curiosity and non-resistance rather than denial and suppression, which actually is the general way that people will deal with these sorts of patterns. So how can we do this? Well, when challenging thoughts and negative emotions arise, we need to become almost like scientists who are genuinely curious about what even is this thing that is causing me suffering. So like, what is this thought that is so compelling and so sticky that I can't seem to let it go? Or like, what is this tightness in my abdomen or solar plexus that is really just contracting, that I've been hiding from my whole life, that I've been masking with YouTube, food? Seriously, what is it? Can I allow it to be there and let it go? In my personal experience, I've found that bringing a genuine curiosity to these sorts of difficulties changes the way that we look at it toward one of letting go and acceptance. So rather than stomping a thought or emotion down on the ground and getting all distraught over how we could possibly think such an evil thing, instead become a witness to its strange, weird, nebulous nature, to detach and let go. 3. Amplify the pleasant in daily life. So as some of you may know from previous videos, I work as a support worker, and part of the job is to sometimes do domestic assistance. There's the stereotype that this sort of work of doing cleaning and should be despised, but I actually relish it as a training ground to develop the skill of finding happiness in mundane situations, which transfers directly over into other aspects of my life. And this is where a really serious paradigm shift will come in. The seeking mind will always look over the present situation and will constantly try and project into the future, thinking that, man, if I can just quit this shitty job and go and spit in my boss's faces, only then will I be happy. But this is that graph coming back into play again. We're projecting into the future, thinking that happiness is not here and is rather in the future. So a practice that I've been working on is this: can I come to appreciate the present moment as much as I possibly can? So like when I'm vacuuming, can I tap into that subtle pleasant sensation in my arm and allow it to infuse my whole body? Or can I, when cleaning a toilet, bask in the majesty of my own awareness and realize my interconnectedness with everyone and everything, rather than being angular and pissed off for having to do such a filthy part of the job? So this is a challenge. The next time that you do something in the mundane, rather than distracting yourself by putting in a podcast, putting in music, looking at social media, or like planning your escape, there's a time and place for that. But remember, this is a training here, which will then eventually cross-pollinate and permeate into every aspect of your experience moment to moment. As the Dalai Lama said, is the very meaning of life. So if you get one thing out of this video, let it be that we need to stop taking happiness casually. We need to become more intentional about incorporating practices that train happiness, like the ones in this video, to raise your baseline level of it to one of abundance. And if mind is the forerunner of all things, the quality of your outputs and the quality of your intentions are directly correlated to the state of your mind. But if you do want to take this further, you should now check out this video, which will tell you more about how to be mindful moment to moment, to cue yourself in and actually implement these strategies. But much love, guys. See you in the next video.